Okay, so here we've got, this is the pre-pro, and this is going to be fun to talk about. Okay, so obviously it all started with Duck Fit.
Charles knows all about this sweater.
We were like, how are we going to fundraise FP3 and 4? Well, let's go up to the barn, the FP, and do some Duck Fit. And we had to do all this. This is what the Indiegogo behind the scenes looks like for us. Just, here's all the shit in the couch. And
oh my God, I
trying to
forgot
ship
about
it all
this.
out. And here it goes. This went out to everybody here. And we'd watch some terrible old straight-to-DVD movies from back in the day and just pack it all up. That's how it worked. And then, so now this is Michael Lee Studios, where we make all the backstage, the props and the things. And back there, and that ended up becoming the Hall of Renage. Like we took over Michael Lee's whole house because
Can we pause? We're going
we can't pause. I know,
okay.
but it's so much to go on.
Spray paint. We used
lots of spray paint. Then this is the Hall of Renage that came up behind him. So we basically used Michael Lee's house that he had using a demo and tear down in a couple months as our whole backstage. And he's like, I got a whole house. And we cleared it out. We'd set up all of our, that's in the kitchen. We'd set up all of our workstation for our arts. And then we'd have to paint the living room green, which we'll get into in a minute. And then COVID was hitting. So we're like, we're making, that was the V1 with the black dick.
Version 1. But then we found bigger
black dick. So that was obviously the choice to go with. And obviously the beautiful duck claws Michael Lee made up because we were really obsessed with, drinking claws during the shoot. So we had that. And they're grass claws. So now anyone who's seen the movie knows what the liquid grass shit is because everyone in the FP is drinking the grass.
Duck head artifact.
This is a duck head artifact. No, this is actually in the background of the duck montage. You'll see a lot of these duck sculptures and things. I know people were asking
these are
if
part
those
of
are
the
miniatures or not.
Yeah.
But these are certainly miniatures. So Michael Lee Studio was and these are some of the old ancient pads that we saw in the remix.
Oh yeah, these took Michael Lee so long.
Yeah, they're made out of concrete. We had to do different versions of concrete because they keep breaking in half when we'd step on them until we got them strong enough. There's Ryan's, his Bruce Z, his sequel mask out there. And then we'd wash the costumes. But it's crazy seeing this again because the whole thing was just the back lot. So we pretty much, effectively 80% of these movies were just made in a 2-bedroom house in Montgomery Park in Los Angeles. We had the sweatshop going. We had.
It's so cool, Michael Lee.
I know, it's so fun to see all this stuff again because the details, everything goes by so fast in the movie. You don't get to really see the fine detail on all the stuff we did. And we spent probably 2 months or more prepping all this before we even started shooting. I remember I know for the beat nucks, I was like, Michael Lee, I want this, but I want a nuck. I had to buy all these little old PS2 dance finger pads on eBay to get them. And then Michael Lee, of course, did his thing. That was the V1.
And then you've got Softy in the background there. Tom Softy.
Or was that Jim Scary? Tom Softy?
I don't know. I thought Jim Scary had the eyes.
and then they eventually turned into this, and we have gloves on underneath that Velcro them to our hands because we found out that they would do slippage and this and that on us. So anyway, to get locked in there. Here's one of the duck masks that Michael Lee and Soleil were the duckmen behind the scenes, and that was a whole claustrophobic experience for them.
It's very claustrophobic.
As you can see.
They're so cute, though. Look how cute.
I know.
They're also kind of terrifying.
Also they're made out of tarps.
Oh yeah, this is painting the ceiling.
Yeah, this is painting the living room.
But it's very high tech.
Yes, the duckmen were made out of tarps that Michael Lee did. He did duck. Yeah, he did tarp ponchos.
Tarp ducks.
Those were awesome.
This was the first layer.
We had to do several coats, and then throughout we would have to keep our green paint, and touch it up because we'd keep scratching it or fucking it up from doing things because there ain't no laws.
There's a lot of running on the spot, which is hard.
It's very hard.
I don't think people understand how hard that is.
Yeah, and there's Margie. We were talking about this earlier. Our dog Margie would just roll up and in the scene every once in a while. She'd come out.
I kind of want to do a special where we just give people Margie on a green screen and anyone can.
This is the original, the V1 of I was trying to envision Baco with the Quattro Kano in the center, and I was like, okay, well, how are we going to build all this and do all this? And initially we're going to do things practically, but I was like, fuck it.
This is our garage. And I was like, well, let's start up. And I started just building miniatures in the garage to do tests way back early on in pre-production. This is the Quattro Kano. And these, I was trying to do these sand duny sort of things for the background of the Grapevine set in the remix here. Someone, is quickly asking what dog is Margie. Margie is a rescue. So she's just a creation of terrier meets something. So I
would put colored gels in the lights and things. And I'd film up these big backgrounds. And they end up looking like this because I wanted it to be very vibrant and colorful. I knew every zone was going to be a different color because it's a different stage of the danger of the booze. And of course, this, for instance, this is what it looked like when we're shooting it. We're just in a green living room doing these things. And then you'll see we've got the layer of what I shot back there in the garage and a bunch of other miniatures we'll get into in a minute to kind of paint this together and make it look real. It took a very long time to learn how to do that and put all that together.
Also trying to light that is really hard.
It's a lot harder than you think. There's a couple of the first early scenes like, oh, fuck, we fucked that up. But we came together in the end. once we've landed what the HD bit will Sorry. Sounds roll? Yeah, set. Set and action.
Yeah, we close the minds after we found this shit.
What the H-E-L?
The ancients called it the remix revelation.
Blast. Teacher and Chai Tea pull themselves up and try to make their way to the machine.
When it hits you, I think you're just like, whoa, like straight up, just like.
Like up here, just where I was.
Let me see. If you look.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you look down the step, obviously. So when you do that, it's like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Okay. Set, and action.
Yeah. I've heard all about them wars before. Some ancient civilization from the way backs that got lost to time called like Quack, Tokyo. Tri-Quactica? Exacts. So, what's this thing do, hey?
What's this thing do, hey? Because it's like, not only is it my first time on a beat pad, it's like the coolest beat pad in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Okay, the same.
Ready? Set, and action.
Exacts. So, what's this thing do, hey? So, what's this thing do, hey?
Great. I think we got enough of that. Cut. Awesome. All right, so this V1, I was in the garage and I was like, I want to do miniatures, and I was like trying to build Baco and like with cardboard boxes and shit. And I'm like, this just really isn't cutting it for me. I tried and I was lighting up and smoking. I'm like, yeah, it looks cool objectively, but we can do better than this. But I'm like, I was going to spend more time on it, but we had to flee the country because of COVID. So then I was like, all right, screw it. I'm in the apartment now. We're in Australia. I'm going to get a bunch of cars and I'm going to cut these things up. I'm going to age them. I'm going to paint them. I'm going to put them all on green screen in the dollar store. And then we're going to start doing stuff like this to them. And I'm going to insert those all over the place in the background so we can make this post-apocalypse world, because I don't have a lot of space to do it. I would have to do everything individually and then build it like layers within Final Cut and animate it with smoke and all kinds of things in between to try to make it seem like I'd actually shot it, it was a lot of fun to do, but it was a learning curve. And this was, yeah, like there's a semi truck, like this was some of the most fun I think I had on just the movie in general. And these are our skyscrapers and things back there, all the different pieces, because we would just find these giant styrofoam weird pieces out on the street when we were walking Margie, because that's about as far as we could go. So I'd paint them and age them and just take pictures of them and insert them into the backgrounds and build my worlds and build my coverage. And then the thing that was interesting I would find is like trying to find out the different focal depth, and because I would use a blur to try to fake what a focal depth would be to try to make it seem real in the background. So it's like, you don't want to make it just completely sharp 4K because then it looks fake, but it has to be a little bit of blur, but then not too much blur. And that was the whole and here we're in Michael. This is what it looked like. We'd be walking in Michael Lee Studios, in place as we do. And then it would turn into us in Baco using all those things. We got our skyscrapers back there. We got our cars. And like, I think that the pieces of the ground down there are the piece on the beach in Burling, like the rock ground. And then we've got some Jeff Howells and Fridge Boys here walking around. And we got Michael Lee, who did did our cute little remix set. Here, and throwing a bunch of shit. And this was like, I was like, I need big giant like trash piles. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just build that out of like miniature trash and make my little trash mountains and shit like that. And I would build these little, I was just like, I'm building shit. At this point, this was the V1 of just this was a test I was trying to do.
This involves some wine and a lot of
wine, a lot of glue.
And
then I would turn into something like this and this was like a test background. I was like, is this going to work? And I was like, probably.
Well, then is the mountains the bottles?
Oh yeah, we're getting to that.
Oh yeah,
okay.
This thing. We love this thing.
We found this in an antique thing in the side of the road somewhere in the middle of nowhere out in the bush.
And I was like,
this
cool.
is amazing. And I would take that photo and I would chop it all out and I would make a bunch of them and I'd add like lens flares and put a bunch of sparkles in the air. And we get little Fridge Boys and Jeff Howells walking around down there. And that's the background is a piece of the rock beach structure down in Burling we chopped out. There's our trash piles back there.
Default.
Okay, so the default, this is like what he originally looked like back when I was like drawing him up like months before, and I was like, okay, maybe, I'm not quite sure yet. Then Michael Lee's like, I've got this big plastic booze drum, and I was like, well, all right. And he gave me like a soldering iron. I started cutting into it and hot gluing stuff and aging it, and then he would become, Grandmaster Default. Here,
Which is very like Oz, Wizard of Oz. Like,
then we've got our, the sequel here, Fridge Boy. Just all this stuff that went into Fridge Boy here.
Yeah, I remember doing that whole 2.0.
Yeah. And this was hard with green screen. Anyone knows he has a very reflecty costume, which on green was very hard to key out. Took some work. And now he's doing his shit, walking to the booze world. So to build the green zone, I knew I wanted lots of booze and because this is our liquid grass. It's kind of like, we're like drinking weed now. But I was like, okay, I need lots of kegs to put in the background. I found out that on Thursdays when we walk Margie, that's where they put all the kegs out.
This is not local.
So that's how I would build my archive of getting kegs, so I could put lots of kegs in the background. Like that's what happened a lot in this movie. I would just walk around, take a picture of something, cut it out later, cut a little set piece out. I needed a little prop, throw in the background. This would end up going out there. I'd cut out the top part there of the machinery, put that on top of a roof. Looked great because it's already aged. It's got his graffiti on it. So then, something like this, for instance, we're at the Jerry's gas station. Now we've got our kegs back there. We've got this pieces, the machinery up there. Like everything just kind of blends in together, and we build our little world.
Yeah.
And this was my life, was just trying to figure out how do I build a world with, within a 5-kilometer radius because we've been locked down.
Of our house.
Of our house, and that's what it all starts with, and. Then we'd go out, when they'd let us out, a lockdown would stop and we get to go out in the bush. I would just go out there into the wilderness and take photos and use whatever piece I need. Do I need mountains? Do I need clouds? What do I need for the background here? And this was really fun because you really have to think outside of the box to try to figure out how the fuck am I. And this is for the duck, the flashbacks for the duck world back, pre-Beat Wars.
Yeah, this is up in the Blue Mountains.
This is awesome. It's like the Grand Canyon of Australia. It's just like
our friend Sarah took us 4-wheel driving.
Yeah, we did some 4-wheeling back out there. I got my Aussie hat. And this is the A7S3.
This is actually Jason's transition to becoming Australian.
Yep. Here's your Duckman at Michael Lee Studios, and then Duckman out there in the bush. All right, so beat pods, there's a whole lot with this. So this was V1 of like a drawing of like what they were going to be, or like these little booze containers, like, kind of booze barrels, like kind of like Donkey Kong Country. And then we went to the 99-cent store one night to lay down. They sell wine there. We found these massive wine bottles there, which we also drank. And
you have to.
Man, giant wine bottles. This is going to be great. Somebody's got the hot glue and the glitter out. We started making these. Well, I think we were watching Sister Act 1 and 2.
I love Sister Act 1 and 2.
That was a great art project. Yeah, they get them the final thing. They got flashlights there, that would flare out the camera to simulate the headlights and all that. And I liked that the wine bottles, they were structurally sound, so you kind of like move them around and do stuff like that.
It was trying to glue everything. I remember these things would just keep falling off.
I just kept getting some little tech pieces and things just kind of throw in. And this was my first test in the garage. I was like I tied like a broom onto the end of it, or glued one in there, and I was like, okay, so I do this practically, moving it around, just shooting it and seeing what happens. I was like, pretty cool. But
what was that? What were those flares that were like kicking off? It looked like you were actually going through something.
Yeah, no, I was just adding some like visual speed.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But then I got to the point where I was like, this is going to be a lot easier if I just put it on green screen, take pictures of it, and then just animate the movement, because then it's going to make my life so much easier keying it. So then we're in Australia, and we were down in the beach when they let us out one time. There's this awesome rock formations down there on the beach. So I go around the camera, and I was like, man, this looks like a miniature, like just Star Wars barren, like Fist of the North Star landscape. So I just had a few White Claws, if you will, and just hit the beach and started taking all kinds of little pictures and videos of the different little rock landscapes to make this, miniature background of the booze mountains in the purple. And I took the drone down there and I was flying that over the rocks and all this. This was a fun day. Yeah. See, then we get the drone. We're going over stuff, and then it turns
out so great. It's amazing.
A lot of visual trickery, and then I was like, that looks like a cool. And I had some shit in there, and like this was bananas doing all this. Yeah, and Talia was like, "What are you doing at first? Like taking pictures?" I'm like, trust me, I got an idea. I see something here.
I had to think little.
Yeah, I was thinking little. But this comes back to when I was a kid. I used to make a lot of like little G.I. Joe movies, and I would try to like, does that look like something big if you don't have a size reference next to it? And I kind of just took that to the next level with this, which was this was some of my most fun stuff to do. The beat pod sequence was like, it was a lot of fun.